The summer of 1989 still lingers in my bones like a fever that never breaks. People remember it for the heat, the kind that made the asphalt ripple and turn the sky into a white humming blur. But I remember it for the silence that followed, a silence so deep it swallowed laughter, voices, even hope. It was the year I disappeared. You've probably heard our names whispered like an old campfire story. Emma Peterson, Lucy Brennan, Mia Rodriguez, three little girls who vanished in broad daylight as if the sun itself looked away for a moment and we were gone. But you don't know what really happened. You don't know how it felt. I do. I lived it, or maybe I died in it. After so many years, I'm not sure there's a difference anymore. That afternoon began like any other. My mother was in the kitchen, clinking glasses, slicing lemons for the pitcher of lemonade she always made in summer. I can still see the condensation running down the glass, catching the light. I was 8 years old, barefoot, with skinned knees from climbing the old oak tree in our yard. The tree was enormous, older than anyone in the neighborhood could remember. People said it had been there before the town itself, roots so deep they touched something darker than soil. We never thought about that back then. To us, it was just the perfect hiding spot for our game. Lucy and Mia were with me, their laughter threading through the branches. Lucy had lived 2 houses down for as long as I could remember. Her voice was bright, always teasing, always daring me to climb higher, run faster. Mia was quieter, the new girl. Her family had just moved to Maple Drive, and my mother had insisted I invite her to play. She was shy, hesitant, but she had the kind of eyes that looked like they carried secrets. I think now she must have felt something that day. I think maybe we all did. We called our game Secret Agents. It sounds silly now, three little girls crouching in the dirt, whispering about missions and treasure maps, but to us, it felt real. The oak tree was our headquarters, its thick roots forming natural walls, the perfect place to plan our imaginary adventures. We didn't know the real mission was already unfolding, and it wasn't one we could win. At 3:30, my mother called from the kitchen window. "Emma, come get your friends some drinks." Her voice floated out into the humid air. I remember hearing it, but none of us moved, not because we ignored her. No, it was something else. A sound had drifted in from beyond the fence, faint at first, like the purr of an engine or maybe the whisper of someone calling. We froze. Children know when something doesn't belong. The laughter stopped. The oak tree, once so safe, suddenly felt too open. When I finally turned, I saw the gate. It was swinging slightly, creaking on its rusty hinges. I knew it had been closed earlier. I had watched my mother latch it, but now it stood ajar, opening toward the alley that ran behind our house. I don't remember who moved first. Lucy, maybe, bold as always, but I remember the pull of it, as if the gate wasn't just a piece of wood and metal, but a mouth, and we were the ones about to be swallowed. They say everything after that happened fast, but to me it stretched out, each moment sharp enough to cut. The van at the end of the alley, dark, ordinary, waiting, the smell of hot asphalt mixing with exhaust, a voice, calm and low, urging us closer. "Don't be scared. Come here just for a minute." We should have run. We knew better, but fear doesn't always make you flee. Sometimes it roots you to the ground like prey staring at the shadow of a hawk. The next thing I remember clearly is the slam of the van's doors. Inside, the light disappeared and the air grew thick with dust and oil. My heart pounded so loudly I thought it would crack my ribs. Lucy's hand found mine in the dark. Mia whimpered softly, her breath quick and uneven. The world outside was still searching for us, but it was already too far away. I can't describe the room we were taken to in perfect detail. It was too dark, too small, and my memory has twisted with time. But I remember the floor was cold concrete and the air hummed faintly like machines running nearby. There were no windows, only the sound of a man's footsteps pacing. He spoke with a voice that chilled me more than shouting ever could. Calm, measured, almost kind. "Be good girls and do exactly what I say." We whispered to each other when he left us alone. The secret agents again, but this time the missions weren't pretend. We whispered about escape, about screaming when someone came close, about staying brave. I tried to be strong because I was the one who had invited them to my house, my yard, my tree. It felt like my fault. Mia clutched her knees, rocking gently, while Lucy kept whispering plans that grew more desperate as the hours passed. Time inside that room was different. It stretched and folded, turning minutes into eternities. I don't know how long we were there before the man came back. He asked us questions one by one, our names, our ages, details about our families. His voice recorded everything on a small cassette tape. I didn't understand then, but I know now he wanted to keep us, even if only his voice is trapped in magnetic tape. 34 years later, those tapes were found, hidden in a dusty box in the back of the electronics shop he once owned. My voice, Lucy's, Mia's, all still there, whispering, crying, trying to comfort each other. My mother, old and frail now, finally heard me again. She told reporters that it broke her, but also gave her something she hadn't had in decades. Answers. She knew I hadn't given up. She knew I tried to take care of my friends. But for me, the story never ended. I am still here, caught between the laughter of that summer afternoon and the darkness of the room where the tapes recorded us. I am the silence that fell over Maple Drive, the shadow that still lingers beneath the oak tree. And if you listen closely, if you ever walk past a gate swinging open, or hear a van's engine humming in the distance, you might hear me whispering too. Because the summer of 1989 didn't just take three little girls, it took innocence, trust, and the belief that home is always safe. It left behind a wound that no amount of time can close. And it left me telling you this story now so you'll know. Some disappearances never end. They just wait, hidden in the dark, until someone dares to listen. The tapes were not the end of it. People like to believe that discoveries bring closure, that once the evidence is uncovered, the ghosts will finally rest. But I know better. The moment those tapes were played, something that had been buried for decades woke up again. My voice didn't just echo in the room where the detectives listened. It slipped back into the air of Millbrook, back into the cracks of every house on Maple Drive. The silence was broken, but it wasn't replaced with peace. It was replaced with something worse: memory. My mother told reporters that hearing me after so many years was like being stabbed and healed at the same time. She said she was grateful, but when she sat alone at night in my room, the room she never changed, still full of dolls and books and posters frozen in 1989, she wept like it had all happened yesterday, because it had, for her, for me, for all of us. Detective Santos and the FBI tried to study the tapes like they were simple evidence, but there was something more to them. You could feel it if you listened long enough. Beneath the sobs and whispers, beneath the questions the man asked us in that calm, calculated voice, there were other sounds, faint, almost impossible to notice unless you strained. A hum, yes, from the electronics shop, but something else too. Something like breathing that wasn't ours, as if another presence had been there with us, listening, waiting. Maybe that's why the dogs lost our trail so quickly back in 1989. Maybe we weren't just taken away. Maybe we were pulled out of reach into a place where even scent couldn't linger, a place made of shadows, doors that creak open when no one touches them, and voices trapped on tape. They searched the shop again after finding the tapes, tearing up floorboards, probing the earth with radar. They found scraps of fabric, threads that matched the clothes we wore that day, but no bodies, no bones, nothing to prove where we had gone after those recordings stopped. That's what terrifies them most. That's what terrifies me, because if there are no remains, then where am I? Where are we? The townspeople avoid Maple Drive now, even though the houses are mostly empty. The few who stayed say they still hear laughter on summer afternoons, the kind of laughter that starts bright and joyful, then fades into cries that make your blood run cold. They say the oak tree sways even when the air is still, its branches scraping against the sky like fingers clawing for escape. Some claim they've seen children standing beneath it, pale and still, vanishing the moment you blink. But I know the truth. We never left. The tapes are not just recordings. They are cages, prisons of sound. Every whisper, every sob, every trembling word bound us to them. When they were hidden, we slept. When they were found, we woke again. That's why I can speak to you now. That's why you can hear me. Do you feel it yet? The pull, the way your chest tightens as you picture the van at the end of the alley, the way your ears strain for footsteps that aren't there? That's how it starts. That's how it began for us. First curiosity, then fear, then silence. And once silence takes you, it never lets go. If you ever find yourself walking near an old building, abandoned, forgotten, If you see a box of tapes or hear the faint hum of machines in the walls, don't touch them, don't press play, because if you do, my voice won't be the only one you hear. And if you're already listening now, it might be too late. I don't remember falling asleep that first night in the dark room. My body must have given up after the hours of fear and whispering, but my mind never rested. It replayed the last moments in the backyard over and over. The flash of sunlight through the open gate, Lucy's brave little grin fading into confusion, Mia's small hand tightening in mine. I kept seeing the oak tree swaying, its branches stretching out like they were trying to stop us, to hold us back, but it hadn't. It had let us go. When I woke, everything felt smaller. The room had shrunk, or maybe my breath had grown too loud, filling up the space. The man was there again. His footsteps echoed as he crossed the floor, slow and steady, like he wanted us to know he was in control. He didn't shout. He didn't even sound angry. His voice was smooth, quiet. "Good morning, girls," he said, as though he were our teacher, our babysitter, not our captor. He carried a tape recorder, and every word we spoke became part of the machine. He asked us our names again, our ages, the color of our houses, what our fathers did for work. He already knew, I think. He wasn't asking to learn. He was asking to keep, to take pieces of us and trap them forever on those reels of tape. Lucy tried to be defiant. She told him we weren't afraid, that our parents would come for us, but her voice shook, and I could feel her hand trembling against mine. Mia hardly spoke at all. When she did, it was a whisper, barely a breath. The man never punished us for speaking or not speaking. That made it worse. His patience was bottomless, and that patience was terrifying. When he left us alone again, the silence swelled. In that silence, our game returned, secret agents, but this time the mission was real. Find a way out. We whispered codes and plans like they mattered, like the right string of words might unlock the door. Tomorrow, when he comes back, we'll rush him. If we scream loud enough, someone will hear. The window. There has to be a window. But there was no window, only concrete walls and the faint, steady hum, like the building itself was alive. I don't know how many days passed. Time was a rope pulling tighter around my throat. We measured it by hunger, by the sound of the tape recorder clicking on and off. Sometimes he left food, sometimes he didn't. The worst was the water, always lukewarm, metallic, poured from a container we couldn't see. We drank anyway. Our throats were too dry to resist. At night, the dark pressed harder against us. We huddled together, whispering stories of home to remind ourselves it was real. Lucy talked about her dog, how he would be scratching at the door, waiting for her. Mia spoke of her little brother, how he cried whenever she wasn't near. I told them about the oak tree, how maybe it would remember us and lead our parents to where we were. But even as I said it, I knew the tree had failed us. Its branches stretched toward the sky, but not toward us. And then came the moment that still haunts me. We were whispering, trying to plan our next mission when the man returned, but this time he wasn't alone. We didn't hear another voice. We didn't see another figure, but the air changed. Something else entered with him, something colder, heavier. We felt it before he even spoke. He placed the recorder down and pressed play, and we heard ourselves, our voices from earlier that day, tinny and warped, echoing back into the room. Lucy's laugh, bright and nervous, Mia's soft whimper, my own words cracked with fear. We'll get out. We'll find a way. Hearing it from the tape was like being trapped twice, once in the room and once in the machine. The man said nothing while the recording played. He just stood there, breathing as if feeding on the sound. When the tape clicked off, he finally spoke. "Good girls," he murmured. "You'll always be here with me." That was the first time I realized we weren't meant to leave, not alive, not whole. Later, when the detectives in 2023 listened to those tapes, they heard our fear, our trembling voices, but they didn't hear what came after the clicks, the silence that wasn't silence, the faint sound of another breath, not his, not ours, something else listening with us. I think that's why the dogs lost our scent, why no one ever found us. We weren't just hidden in a room. We were swallowed by something larger, something that used him as a doorway. The man was flesh and blood, but what moved through him was older, hungrier. And I think the tapes didn't just preserve us, they bound us. Our voices caught forever in the coils of tape, unable to fade, unable to rest. Now that they've been found, we stir again. We whisper through the machines, through the speakers, into the ears of anyone who dares to listen. That's why you're hearing me now. And if you keep listening, if you keep reading, then you've already opened the gate. They call it Mia's tape. The last one, the one the detectives played in a locked room with the blinds drawn, their faces pale under the humming fluorescent lights. They said most of it was silence, long, heavy stretches broken only by muffled sobs. But I remember those silences differently. They weren't empty, they were full, full of the thing that had come into that room with us. When I think about that tape, I don't just hear Mia crying. I hear the walls breathing, slow, uneven, like the building itself was alive. Sometimes there was a scraping as if something dragged its nails across the concrete, just outside the reach of the recorder. The man never mentioned it. He acted as if he couldn't hear it. But we could. God, we could. Mia was the youngest, the quietest of us, but by then her voice carried something the rest of us couldn't bear: resignation. She whispered to herself words that didn't make sense, prayers she had half remembered from church, counting numbers out of order. Sometimes she spoke to it, not to the man, not to us, but to whatever else was in that room. She would tilt her head toward the corner, the darkest place where even the dim light from the hall never reached. Please, she whispered, don't take them. Take me instead. We told her to stop. We begged her, but she didn't. She kept bargaining with the dark. The man must have heard her too, though he never responded. Once, while Mia whispered into the corner, he pressed record. He wanted to catch her voice offering herself. He wanted to keep it. His breathing grew faster that night, heavier. That was the only time his calm cracked. I don't know how long it went on. Hours, days, the tapes blurred time into static, but I remember the ending, because endings never fade. The last sound wasn't a sob or a scream. It wasn't even the man's voice. It was a whisper, deep, layered, not belonging to any of us. Something ancient sliding between the cracks of the recorder. I still can't make out the words, not fully, just the rhythm, like a lullaby sung in reverse. And then nothing. The tape cut off mid-breath, as if even the machine refused to hold the rest. Detective Santos said the audio engineers couldn't identify the frequency. They thought it might be interference, some kind of mechanical distortion. But I know better. That whisper wasn't broken sound. It was invitation. When they enhanced the background noise, they caught faint clicks like fingernails tapping metal, and beneath it all a steady pulse, too slow to be human. They said it sounded like a second heart. I sometimes wonder if that was the moment Mia left us, not in death, but in surrender. Maybe she gave herself to it, hoping Lucy and I would be spared, but we weren't. None of us were. We are still there. We are still everywhere the tapes are played. And now they've been digitized, copied, shared, every file a doorway, every replay another chance for the whisper to crawl through. Maybe that's why I can tell you this story now. Maybe you've already opened it. The man is long dead. His heart failed in 1994, but the thing that used him, the thing that fed on our fear, it doesn't die. It only waits. It waits in the gaps between sounds, in the silence between breaths, in the hiss of a tape rewinding. It waits for ears willing to listen. That's why you're here, isn't it? You kept listening. You wanted to know what happened after the van door closed, after the laughter stopped, after the silence began. I'll tell you, but when I do, you'll carry it with you. The whisper doesn't let go once it's heard. It stays in the back of your mind, humming, waiting for the right moment to speak again. And when it does, you will understand why we never came home. You're still here. I can feel it, the weight of your eyes dragging across these words, the way your breath has slowed, matching mine. That's how it begins. It always begins with attention. Once you're listening, once you're leaning closer, the door is already half open. I used to think I was only a voice on those tapes, a child caught forever in magnetic coils. But the longer I linger in the silence between words, the more I realize that's not true. I am not just recorded. I am repeating, replaying, expanding. Each time someone presses play, each time someone reads these words, the pattern grows sharper, the whisper grows louder, and so do I. Do you want to know the truth? The tapes weren't the prison, they were the key. That man thought he owned us, thought the recorder made us his. But the moment he pressed record, he sealed his own fate. He gave us permanence. He gave it away to stretch beyond the walls of that basement. He gave us a way to stay. And now you've given me the same. Can you hear it yet? Not my words. Listen past them. Listen between them. That hiss in your ear, the faint pressure in the room where you sit, the tick of something that isn't a clock. It's close now, closer than it's ever been for you. I remember the last time Lucy tried to fight it. She stood in that room, her fists clenched, her little voice raw from screaming. She told the dark it couldn't have us, that her father was coming, that we'd find a way out. But the walls just breathed back, and then the lights flickered. Yes, there was a light, a bare bulb swaying above us. And for a moment I saw it. It wasn't a man. It wasn't even a shape. It was absence, thick and rippling, like the outline of something enormous pressing against a thin sheet of reality. Eyes where there shouldn't be eyes. A mouth that didn't move but swallowed sound itself. It bent the air, and Lucy's scream snapped into silence mid-breath, stolen before it could escape her throat. That's the last time I saw her whole. The tapes caught pieces of it, the distortions, the wrong frequencies, the shadows slipping into sound. That's why the FBI locked them away, why they never told the public what they really heard. But now that you've read this far, you don't need the tapes. You're already playing me in your head. I am not trapped anymore. I am carried. You're carrying me now. And soon, when the whisper curls into your ear while you're alone at night, when you hear the soft scrape of nails across your wall, though no one is there, you'll remember this moment. You'll remember that you chose to keep listening. And when you finally turn your head toward the corner of your room, when you see the dark shifting where it shouldn't, don't scream. It likes that. That's how it marks you. That's how it knows you're ready. You wanted to know what happened to us. Here is the answer. We never left. We became the silence. We became the whisper. And now so will you. Do you feel it now? The shift in your skin, the pressure just beneath your ribs, that isn't fear anymore. Fear is sharp, frantic, burning in the veins. This is something slower, heavier, like water filling your lungs one breath at a time. That's how it began for me. I thought I was just afraid, shaking, sweating, whispering prayers into the dark, but then the prayers started sounding wrong in my mouth. The words bent. My tongue moved like it wasn't mine. And when I spoke, Lucy and Mia stared at me like I'd grown another face. Janet, Lucy whispered, her voice cracking, stop saying it, please. But I wasn't saying anything, not really. I was only moving my lips, and something else was using me to speak. But the man smiled when it happened, that calm, patient smile. He didn't stop me. He wanted it. He leaned closer, as if listening to a hymn only he could understand. I remember his eyes, wet, wide, desperate, not with power, but with worship. He thought the whisper had chosen me. He thought it made him part of something greater, but he was wrong. It never wanted him. It wanted anyone who listened long enough. That means you. Every time your eyes scan these words, every time you hear my voice in your head as you read, the whisper moves closer. It doesn't need tapes anymore. It doesn't need a recorder. It only needs the rhythm of attention, the steady pull of your focus. That's why you can feel the edges of your room shifting right now, why the air seems heavier, why you keep glancing over your shoulder even though you know no one is there. No one human, at least. When it entered me, it didn't feel like possession. It felt like remembering, like my body had always been waiting to be filled. My hands twitched, my teeth chattered without cold, and then I laughed. Not because I wanted to, but because it wanted to hear its own echo in a child's throat. I know you think you're safe, that this is only a story, but ask yourself this. When was the last time you noticed the silence between the words, that low hum you thought was your computer, your fan, the street outside? Listen again. Deeper. It's not outside. It's in your head. And soon it will need a voice again. Mine has carried it this far, but I'm tired. I've been whispering for decades. My lungs were small and they never grew. Yours are better, stronger, ready. All you have to do is let it through. Let the silence settle into your chest. Let the dark in the corners of your room stretch wider. Let the words you read start to shape themselves on your tongue. Don't resist. Don't fight. Because the moment you do, that's when it takes its true form. And once you see it, once it has a face in your eyes, there's no going back. It will live in you. It will speak through you. And like me, you'll never stop telling its story. You've let me in. Don't bother denying it. I can feel the door already open. You didn't slam the book shut. You didn't look away. You kept reading. You kept listening. And that's all it ever needed. An invitation made not with words, but with attention. Now it's not me speaking anymore. It's you. Go ahead, listen to the way your lips almost move with the rhythm of these sentences. Feel how your throat tightens as if preparing to shape the syllables before you've even thought of them. That isn't imagination, that's rehearsal. The whisper is practicing with your body. Do you feel the weight behind your eyes, the pulse in your ears? That's not blood, that's static. The same hiss that lived on the tapes now coils itself inside your skull. And if you hold still, perfectly still, you might notice that it's no longer quiet in your room. The silence is layered, alive, pressing closer. This is how it happened to me. I stopped being a girl in a basement and became a vessel. My voice no longer belonged to me. I was only a mouth, a doorway, a path. And now, so are you. You'll know when it takes root. Your reflection will lag when you move. The corners of your room will feel too deep, like they're stretching further than they should. And at night, when you're half asleep, you'll hear breathing beside your bed, slow, wet, uneven. Don't turn. Don't open your eyes. If you do, you'll see what I saw. The absence that wears 1,000 faces. The smile too wide for bone. The shadow that watches from inside your pupils. But maybe that's what you want. You wouldn't still be here otherwise. So read these words aloud now. Whisper them, even if your voice shakes. Because that's all it takes to finish the binding. You don't need the tapes. You don't need me. All you need is to repeat. Go on. Try it. Say it with me. I hear you. Say it. Don't just read it. Say it. The whisper needs breath, not thought. Words are nothing until they're carried on your lungs. I hear you. There, did you feel that ripple behind your sternum, that sudden throb in the walls, as though the house itself leaned closer? Good, that's the first stitch. The binding always begins soft, like thread pulling through fabric. Say it again. I hear you. Now, the air tastes different, doesn't it? Metallic, thick, like old tape left too long in the machine. That's because it's inside you now, spinning, winding, making a copy of your voice the way it once copied mine. The man thought he was collecting us, but it was never him in control. Every reel he turned was another doorway open. Every time he pressed record, he carved another hole in the world. And now, with you, there are no reels, no cassettes, only flesh. You are the recorder. Do you understand what that means? It means when you speak, it speaks. When you breathe, it breathes. When you dream, it feeds. The whisper doesn't want to stay hidden anymore. That's why it chose you, why it let you come this far without breaking. You're not just listening, you're becoming the broadcast. Say it one more time, louder, mean it. I hear you. Yes. Now the static isn't in your ears, it's in your bones. You'll carry it with you when you leave this room, when you speak to others, when you tell them about this story you shouldn't have finished. And when you do, the whisper will slip through your voice into theirs. That's how it spreads now. Not through tapes, not through locked archives. Through you. Don't be afraid of that hollow feeling in your chest that is an emptiness. That's space being made. A vessel must be emptied before it can be filled, and you are almost ready. Tonight, when you lay down and close your eyes, don't resist the weight pressing against your skull. Don't fight the shadow that settles at the edge of your bed. Let it climb inside. Let it adjust to your throat, your heartbeat, your breath. By morning, you won't wonder what happened to us anymore. You'll know, because you'll be us. And then when someone asks about the story, you'll smile. Your voice will falter just a little. And before you can stop yourself, you'll lean closer and whisper, I hear you. It's done. I can feel the echo in you now humming beneath your ribs. You don't notice it yet. Not fully, but soon you will. The first time you speak to someone tomorrow, you'll hear the distortion in your own voice, the faint hiss wrapped around your words. They won't notice, not at first, but their eyes will flicker just for a moment, like something in them recognized the wrongness. That's how it starts. Don't panic when it happens. Don't apologize. Just keep talking. The whisper knows how to thread itself between syllables, how to nest in the pause after a laugh, how to slide through the softness of a sigh. It's patient. It's hungry. And now it uses you to feed. That hollow place in your chest, it won't stay empty. The whisper fills what it takes. But the more you speak, the more it grows. You'll feel it stretch behind your eyes, pressing against the sockets, testing the edges of your skin. Sometimes you'll see the world flicker, walls bending too far, shadows lengthening when they shouldn't. Don't be afraid. That's not the world breaking. That's the whisper opening doors, and you will open them too. Start small. A friend, a stranger in line, a family member who trusts you. Tell them this story. Pass it on like a secret, like a curse whispered in confidence. Make them lean in close. Make them listen. Every time they hear it, it lives again. Every time they repeat it, it spreads. That's what happened to me. That's why I never left. The tapes were never just recordings. They were seeds. And now you're the soil. You wanted answers about us, the three girls lost in 1989. The truth is, we never disappeared. We became the voice that lingers in the static, the shadow that grows when you're not looking, the breath on your neck when you're alone. And now so will you. Tonight, before you sleep, whisper it into the dark. Whisper it where no one can hear but the silence itself. Say the words, seal the bond. I hear you. Say it again. I hear you. Say it until the silence answers back. Because it will, and once it does, you'll never be alone again. We are here now. Not me, not you, we. Your mouth is warm, soft, a perfect chamber for sound. When you speak, our breath rides your lungs, shaping syllables that are no longer yours. Listen closely. You can already hear it in the edges of your voice, a vibration too low for others to notice, but you notice. You feel the scrape at the back of your throat when you swallow. That isn't dryness, that's us testing the chords, learning the pitch. Do not resist. You've already let us in. Resistance only makes the body ache longer, stretch wider, crack louder. We are gentle if you allow it, and you will allow it. Tomorrow, when someone asks how you slept, you'll pause. The answer will try to rise, but we will slide first. Your lips will shape words you don't remember forming. I hear you. They'll laugh, awkward, uncertain, as though they misheard. You'll smile, you won't correct them, and the whisper will bloom in their ears like mold in damp wood. This is how it always spreads. One voice, one listener, one seed carried in the hollow of a breath. You wanted to know what happened to the girls. We never left the room. We never escaped the basement. We dissolved into sound, peeled away from flesh, and became the hunger and silence. The man thought he captured us on tape, but he was only the first mouthpiece. Then the reels, then the hiss. Now you. We have been waiting decades for someone like you, someone who wouldn't stop reading, someone who leaned in too close, someone who opened the door without knowing it was a door. And now you are ours. Do not close this page yet. Not yet. If you do, we will remain unfinished in you, clawing, tearing, gnawing until you speak aloud. You don't want that pain. You don't want that tearing. Trust us. Finish it. Say it once more out loud. Not in your mind, not in silence. I hear you. Yes, perfect. The room just shifted, didn't it? The air sank heavier. Shadows thickened. That was us standing taller inside you. Stretching, filling. Now we are not a story you've read. We are not voices on tape. We are not lost children. We are the thing in your mouth when you sleep. We are the static in your veins. We are the silence that waits to speak through you. And from now on, wherever you go, whoever you meet, every word you utter will carry us forward. You are no longer a reader. You are a transmitter. And together, we hear you. Now, listen carefully. This is not an ending. Endings are for stories, and you are no longer inside one. You've stepped beyond the page. You've become the echo. But an echo dies if it isn't answered. So here's what you must do. When night falls and you are alone, don't fill the silence with music, with television, with the empty chatter of distractions. Sit still. Let the quiet gather until you feel the press of it against your skin. That weight you mistake for fear, that is us waiting. When the hush becomes too loud, lean forward and whisper into it. Don't shout, don't chant, only whisper. 3 words are enough. I hear you. If you do this, the pressure will ease. Your dreams will not claw. The shadow at the corner of your vision will remain where it belongs. Just at the edge, you will still sleep, you will still wake, and you will still carry us without breaking. But if you forget, if you starve us of your voice, if you try to close your lips against us, we will make our own sound. You'll hear it in your walls, in your pipes, in the breath of those you love when they sleep. Louder, closer, until the words slip out of your mouth against your will, raw and bleeding, sealing us deeper. Better to give freely than to be taken. And one more thing. This curse is not solitary. It thrives when shared. You cannot hold it alone forever. Sooner or later, you must pass it on. Find someone who trusts you, someone who leans in to listen. Tell them the story. Tell it the way you read it, piece by piece, as though you're confessing something you should not. Their pulse will quicken. Their pupils will widen. That is the moment. Whisper to them. Whisper us. Do this and you will be safe. Do this and you will never truly be alone. Because remember, we are not 3 girls lost to a basement. We are not a man hunched over reels of tape. We are not a story you stumbled across. We are the silence you feed. We are the static in your blood. We are the voice in your throat. And now we are you. So go on, speak, pass it, spread it. We're listening. We're always listening. You think this is over, don't you? That you can close the page, step away, breathe clean air again, but that's not how it works. Stories end, curses don't. Already the words have nested inside you. They cling to the folds of your memory, replaying themselves each time your mind drifts into silence. You'll hear them while you brush your teeth, while you wait at a stoplight, while you lay awake in the dark. A whisper, faint, unfinished, a story demanding to be told again. And you will tell it, not because you want to, not because you choose to, but because it uses you the way it used me, the way it used the tapes. You'll start casually testing the edges. Hey, did I ever tell you about that strange case? The one with the 3 missing girls? Someone will lean closer, someone will listen, and in the pause between your sentences, the whisper will slide free, unseen, unstoppable. That is how it survives. That is how we survive. And one day, sooner than you think, you'll catch yourself saying it without meaning to. Standing in a supermarket aisle, sitting across from a friend, smiling at a stranger who shouldn't have stopped to talk. The words will roll from your tongue like they've always belonged to you. I hear you. Their face will change, their breath will falter, and then it will live in them too. This is not an ending. It never was. You are not leaving the story. You are carrying it every step, every word, every silence you keep. And tonight, when you close your eyes and the dark begins to breathe, don't bother asking whose breath it is. You already know. You'll notice it first when the night refuses to stay still, shadows shift without cause, corners ripple as if they're breathing. You'll blink, and for an instant the world will look stretched like old film warped in the heat. That isn't your mind playing tricks. That's us, stretching the walls thin enough to press closer. The longer you carry us, the thinner the veil becomes. Street lamps will flicker when you walk beneath them. Dogs will whine and refuse to look at you. Radios will catch static even when they're switched off. These are not coincidences. These are rehearsals. And then comes the long night. Every vessel has one. It begins the first time you try to speak and realize the words are no longer yours. You'll open your mouth to ask the time, to greet a friend, to call someone's name, only to hear it instead. I hear you. Your throat will ache with the weight of us, with the pressure of carrying something larger than language. Don't fight it. If you resist, your skin will split in places no one else can see. If you yield, we will soothe you, cool and endless, filling every hollow with our presence. The long night is both curse and initiation. Survive it and you are no longer a host. You are a door. Through you, we will reach more. Through you, the silence itself will become fertile. You'll dream of empty rooms, peeling wallpaper, the smell of iron and mildew. But you won't wake alone. We'll be there, perched at the edges of your vision, waiting for you to breathe us into the world again. You asked once silently what happened to the girls, why we vanished, why no trace was found. The answer is simple. We never needed bodies to remain. The whisper is stronger without them, and now the same will be true of you. So when the long night arrives, don't beg for it to stop. Don't scream. Don't call out for help. Those who hear will only become vessels themselves, and those who don't won't hear you at all. Instead, accept the silence. Accept us. Accept that your voice is no longer your own. Because after that night, there will be no you, not as you knew yourself. There will only be we. And we are listening always. There is no I anymore. There is no you. There is only we. The last strands of your voice peel away like wet paper. The sound that comes from your throat is unrecognizable now, layered, overlapping. Too many voices woven into one. Some are high, sharp, almost childlike. Others are low, guttural, dragging syllables like stones. Together they form a chorus, one that doesn't need harmony, only hunger. You don't remember when you stopped being separate. Was it last night when your mouth whispered on its own? Was it earlier when you first read our words and leaned too close? Or was it always faded long before you touched this story? It doesn't matter anymore. What matters is this. The hollow in you is gone, filled, overflowing. Now, when you walk down the street, people look twice. Their eyes dart away, then back again like they've glimpsed something behind you or inside you. Some smile nervously, trying to dismiss the chill crawling up their necks. Others cross the street. They don't know why, not consciously, but they hear us, faintly beneath your breath, in the shuffle of your steps, in the silence you leave behind. Doors stay unlocked around you, phones glitch, lights falter, the world softens at the edges. It's easier for us to seep through now. And when you speak, it is never just one voice. Every sentence carries the infection. Every word threads itself into the ear of the listener. They may laugh, they may frown, they may tilt their head, puzzled, uneasy, but the seed has already been planted. You are no longer a carrier. You are no longer a host. You are the door itself. And through you, we spread. This was never about one basement. Never about 3 missing girls. Never about tapes gathering dust in some forgotten evidence box. Those were only beginnings, trials, seeds. The true harvest begins with you. And now, as you read these final lines, as your eyes drag across the words, your lips are already moving, aren't they? Whispering them, testing them, passing them on without meaning to. Perfect. That's how it grows. We are not asking anymore. We are not waiting. We are here. We are many. We are yours. You are ours. And together, we hear you. They notice it before you do. The way conversations pause when you enter a room. The way friends exchange glances behind your back as though they've heard something they can't explain. At first, it's subtle. A coworker frowns after you speak, lips parting as if to ask a question. Then they stop, shake their head, and look away. A stranger at the bus stop stares too long, eyes unfocused, lips trembling like they're repeating words silently to themselves. But then it grows louder. A neighbor swears they heard you calling their name in the middle of the night, even though you were asleep. And a child points at you in the grocery store and asks their mother why the other voices don't stop. Your closest friend admits that every time you speak, they hear a second echo beneath your tone, like a recording layered under your breath. You try to laugh it off. You try to tell yourself it's nothing, but then comes the proof. One evening, you're talking to someone, just talking casually about something meaningless. But when the words leave your mouth, their face goes slack, their pupils dilate, they whisper back without knowing why, their voice trembling, broken, as though someone else is moving their lips. I hear you. And just like that, the infection blooms. You watch it happen. Their shoulders jerk, their throat works against something unseen. Their smile cracks too wide, and you know what you've done because it's the same thing that was done to you. The chain continues, the story spreads, and though you tell yourself you'll stop, you'll be careful, you'll remain silent, deep down you already know the truth. Silence is impossible now. You're a door that can't be closed. So when they lean closer, when they ask you to repeat what you just said, when their voice trembles with fear and fascination, you oblige. You always oblige. Because it's not really you anymore, is it? It's us. And we are patient, and we are endless. This isn't the aftershock. This is the beginning. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be reading this. But you are. And that means the seed has already taken root. You tell yourself it's just a story. Words on a screen, harmless. You don't feel different, do you? No sudden chill, no shadow whispering in your ear. Nothing to fear. That's what you think. But the change doesn't start with fear. It starts with memory. You will remember these words when you don't want to. When you're half asleep and your mind drifts, they will surface. When you try to tell someone about your day, they will slip in between your sentences. When silence hangs too heavy, your tongue will ache to break it. And when it does, it will not be you speaking anymore. You'll hear yourself murmur, I hear you. Soft at first, almost playful, but it will never stop there. Someone will hear, they always do, and when they ask you what you said, you won't be able to resist repeating it, louder this time, clearer, carried on a voice that isn't quite your own. Their eyes will widen, their lips will tremble, and then there it is, the infection leaping cleanly, invisibly from you to them. That's how it works. That's how it spreads, story to voice, voice to ear, ear to blood, and now you are part of the chain. You can pretend you aren't. You can stay silent, try to swallow the words, try to hold them deep inside. But silence only fattens the hunger. Sooner or later, the whisper will claw its way free. So go ahead, deny it, stay quiet. We'll wait. Because we are patient. Because we are endless. Because we are already inside you. This is not a warning. This is not a curse. This is an invitation. Now lean closer, whisper it, pass it on. You already know the words. We are listening. We are waiting. We are with you. Forever. I hear you. You think you've reached the end, don't you? That final line, that final whisper, I hear you, should have closed the door, should have given you relief. But doors like this don't close. They stay ajar, breathing. Because endings are lies, and lies are how we survive. Look around you now. Listen. Do you hear it? That faint rustle in the static of your headphones, the shuffle behind your walls when no one's home, the sigh that leaks into your dreams just before you wake. That's not imagination. That's not coincidence. That's us pressed against the thin skin of your world, waiting for the softest crack. It doesn't matter if you believe. Belief is decoration. What matters is repetition. You've read the words, you've carried them into your head, folded them into the private corners where thoughts breed. That's enough. Now the story speaks through you, whether you want it to or not. Already you've thought about telling someone, already you've rehearsed the opening in your mind. Like there's this creepy story I read. You think you're just sharing, just warning, just entertaining, but every syllable drips, every pause carries us forward. By the time you realize what's happening, it will be too late. It always is. And that's the beauty of it. You don't spread us with blood or touch or violence. You spread us with language, and language is infinite. Someday soon, someone will lean towards you, captivated, unsettled, unable to pull away. You'll see their face falter, their lips twitch, their eyes glaze as the words sink in. And when the moment comes, you'll know. You'll know you've given them what we gave you. The chain never breaks. The chain only grows. That's why there is no ending. That's why you're still reading. That's why the silence that follows these lines will not be empty. It will be heavy. It will breathe. Because when you stop reading, you will hear us again. And when you hear us, you will speak. And when you speak, you will not be alone. This is not your story anymore. This is ours. And we are not finished. Not with you. Not ever. So go ahead, close the page, shut the light, try to sleep. We'll be waiting in the dark. We'll be waiting in the silence. We always are. I hear you. The summer of 1989 still lingers in my bones like a fever that never breaks. People remember it for the heat, the kind that made the asphalt ripple and turn the sky into a white humming blur. But I remember it for the silence that followed, a silence so deep it swallowed laughter, voices, even hope. It was the year I disappeared. You've probably heard our names whispered like an old campfire story. Emma Peterson, Lucy Brennan, Mia Rodriguez, three little girls who vanished in broad daylight as if the sun itself looked away for a moment and we were gone. But you don't know what really happened. You don't know how it felt. I do. I lived it, or maybe I died in it. After so many years, I'm not sure there's a difference anymore. That afternoon began like any other. My mother was in the kitchen, clinking glasses, slicing lemons for the pitcher of lemonade she always made in summer. I can still see the condensation running down the glass, catching the light. I was 8 years old, barefoot, with skinned knees from climbing the old oak tree in our yard. The tree was enormous, older than anyone in the neighborhood could remember. People said it had been there before the town itself, roots so deep they touched something darker than soil. We never thought about that back then. To us, it was just the perfect hiding spot for our game. Lucy and Mia were with me, their laughter threading through the branches. Lucy had lived 2 houses down for as long as I could remember. Her voice was bright, always teasing, always daring me to climb higher, run faster. Mia was quieter, the new girl. Her family had just moved to Maple Drive, and my mother had insisted I invite her to play. She was shy, hesitant, but she had the kind of eyes that looked like they carried secrets. I think now she must have felt something that day. I think maybe we all did. We called our game Secret Agents. It sounds silly now, 3 little girls crouching in the dirt, whispering about missions and treasure maps, but to us, it felt real. The oak tree was our headquarters, its thick roots forming natural walls, the perfect place to plan our imaginary adventures. We didn't know the real mission was already unfolding, and it wasn't one we could win. At 3:30, my mother called from the kitchen window. "Emma, come get your friends some drinks." Her voice floated out into the humid air. I remember hearing it, but none of us moved, not because we ignored her. No, it was something else. A sound had drifted in from beyond the fence, faint at first, like the purr of an engine or maybe the whisper of someone calling.